facilitate it because they want to sell. They want to make sure it happens. Guys, these are the things I wish I knew as a new home buyer. First off, I want to say the most important part of it all is patience. Without patience, you can get yourself in some deep water. The reason being is if you just start jumping into things and paying over asking price, you might find yourself not really getting what you really desire with this. I've actually came across people that have spent 6 months, a year, 2 years. Maybe don't go that far, but this is a process that really takes time. You need to take your time and don't feel rushed. I get it. Sometimes we got to get out of a place. We got to do certain things that kind of push us to want to do it sooner than we really can. But in reality, you got to take your time with this stuff. Please be patient with this process. It's one of the most important pillars to all of this. Do not let FOMO get to you. I repeat, do not let fear of missing out get to you. The reason I say this is a lot of times we see a home, we think, hey, this is too good to be true. Let's just make it happen now. And hey, the honest truth is that there's always a bigger, better home. Who knows? Sometimes even for a better price. But you can't know that unless you actually go through a decent amount of homes, right? I'm not saying just look at 20, 30 homes before you actually make a decision. Although it's not too bad, realistically. 30 maybe is overhead, but maybe 15, 20. It's something realistic and you feel like you've actually seen enough to have an idea what the market should be and what you should be getting. Therefore, I don't recommend you just jumping into what you first see. Believe me, although those homes that are really, really good tend to sell really fast, believe me, if it's meant for you, no matter how fast you put the offer in, it's going to happen. Especially when you have a real good real estate agent. They make sure they're on top of their stuff. And you get to see homes that are probably not even in the market just yet. If your real estate agent is one of those that's really looking forward to making sure you find what you're looking for, he might even go door knocking and see homes that aren't on the market just to make sure you're pleased. So don't be impatient. I want to touch on time. The time that it can take for you to actually find a home, it can literally be up to 3 years. Literally. I found people that literally just looked, and sometimes they just stop looking for a little bit because they get discouraged. And you put 7, 8 offers, and it's like, geez, this is just not meant for me. You might tell yourself. But in reality, you gotta just keep going. It's like working out. You gotta just keep pushing. It doesn't matter how it feels. You gotta give it something. So you gotta look at least to 3 homes in a weekend, 3, 4, 5 every time you go. That way you're able to always have an idea what's going on and just make sure that you're on top of things. You gotta make sure that you do your part so that it could all come into fruition. Now, I want to touch on the fact that no matter how many homes you come across, none of them are going to have exactly everything you want. If you are, hey, yours is 1 in a million, because let me tell you, it's going to either be it has no garage, or the pavement's not how you desired it to be. Maybe it doesn't have a patio or just a deck that you desire. There's always going to be something you have to sacrifice in order to actually move forward with this. A lot of times you can actually negotiate. You could pretty much tell them, hey, I was honestly looking forward to this home, but this is something that I'm looking to add on. And you explain what your thoughts are to the seller, and they might be able to work with you. They'll actually facilitate it because they want to sell. They want to make sure it happens. So if you actually tell them what's going on, hey, how about you maybe bring down the price this much so that I could actually invest into the home and make this happen there so that I feel like I got my dream home. And you'd be surprised at how many people would actually work with you. So don't be afraid to not settle. This is probably the most asked questions before actually putting in an offer. You ready? What would I be paying for this mortgage? Well, guys, it actually really comes down to how much you're willing to pay up front, that be down payment. What that is it actually pretty much either makes you avoid private mortgage insurance if you put 20 or above, or you have a little more in your mortgage because you pay less than that 20%, right? So ideally, 20% is the move when it comes down to your down payment. That's probably the go-to. And hey, if you got to do less, you got to do less. But just know that your mortgage is going to be a little higher if you do go that route. Now, for you to actually be approved for, per se, 300,000, whatever the case may be, 400,000, you got to be making 5 times or more whatever that mortgage is going to be. They want to make sure that you're able to pay for whatever the monthly mortgage will be. So you have to be making 5 times whatever that is. Guys, the good news is that it doesn't have to just be your income. It could be your spouse, it could be your son, your daughter, whatever family member is going to live in the home as well. You guys can combine that when it comes down to your mortgage. This is something you have to consult with your bank, of course. I'm not a financial advisor, but this is something that I have come to see in the past, that people they unite their incomes and they make it happen. Guys, this is one of the most rewarding yet stressful times of this whole process. You ready? Closing. At this time of the process, the bank reassures that you're still up and running with your job, that you're still making the same income, and you can make those payments on time. Therefore, they're going to make sure they pretty much just reapprove your loan. They can send it over to the seller to make sure everything's still smooth sailing. At this time, process has begun. We make sure that the title is good and clean. We start the process with the earnest money. We send that over to them. We also make sure that you do an inspection. I certainly always enforce, please do an inspection. There's a lot of people that want to go by that. There's a lot of offers where, hey, we'll give it to you, but the only way we'll give it to you is if you don't do the inspection. I run away from those. I'm not telling you to do the same, but it's probably not a good idea to move forward with somebody that's telling you, hey, I don't want you to know what you're getting into, right? And there are some out there, which is unbelievable. What it comes down to is now you pretty much check the roof, check for pests, all the inspections to the home, make sure everything is how you expect it to be. After that turns out great, now you do the appraisal. The appraisal is where you actually find out, okay, is this home worth what I'm actually going to pay? Is this worth my money? So they send that over back to your bank. We reassure that you're actually paying what you're financing or what you're looking to pay in cash or whatever the case is. And hey, you move forward if it works. And if it's less than, hey, you renegotiate with the seller and see what we could work out. Once that has all worked out fine, what we do now is that we actually do a final walkthrough. This is so important because so many things could come up in a final walkthrough. You don't know what has happened in all that time that you've been pulling out hair, trying to figure out where to get your down payment from, trying to figure out how to make things run smoothly, and talking to the bank 2-3 times a day, making sure you're up to date with your real estate agent and giving him everything he needs, all the paperwork and all the fun stuff. Now you want to make sure that that walkthrough happens. Don't be the person that waits for the day before the actual closing to do the walkthrough, because things do come up. I actually have a story for you guys. One time I did do a walkthrough And to say the least, it was chaos. Simply because we come, house is cold, middle winter. What do you think is going on? Water's running, and that's not a good sign. It's not a good sign because that means the boiler has been turned off. If the boiler's turned off and there's water running, we're in the middle of winter. I'm in Connecticut, it's under 30 degrees. Freezing can occur. If freezing can occur, bright pipes can break. Not a good thing. That's one of the things that I had to come across. Thankfully, it was a week before we closed. This gave time for things to actually get fixed, for us to get the boiler up and running. The seller, we contacted him. We made sure that, hey, tell him, hey, this is not up and running how it should be. What are we going to do? He wanted to save a few extra bucks, so he had it shut off by a couple of folks. Therefore, what we did was we had him bring them folks out, get it up and running, make sure everything was running fine, no pipes broken, and we got the deal going. I can't stress enough how much you have to prioritize that final walkthrough and doing it with time, simply because minor things do come up. It might not be anything major, but it's always good to negotiate with time. This allows for things to run so much more smoother. If per se, like I had one not that long ago where the chimney needed some repairs. There was some things that there was a leakage from, and that repair needed to happen. So we had to pretty much create a contingency. We would close, but this needs to be fixed prior to renegotiating things, bringing down the price. Hey, maybe this refrigerator no longer works, and it did when we were here first. So now what? Hey, maybe you could bring down the price a bit so that we can get that on. We can get a new fridge in here because supposedly we were getting a fridge. We were getting this, we were getting that, right? So that allows you to actually do it all with time, and nothing's better than time, guys. So please, please, please prioritize that final walkthrough. And that, my friends, are some of the major pillars to look out for before buying a house. I know you're ready. Get to it. Stay on top of it. All love.